Right now, three of the biggest movie franchises on the planet, Marvel, DC, and Star Wars, are all in the middle of a rebounding phase. So which one is doing the best job building that anticipation for what's next? Let's talk about it. Joining me today for our conversation is Holden Hardman. Hey, how you doing? And where can we find you on the internet?
Hey, thanks. I'm doing really, really good. I'm so glad to be here talking with you once again, Sean. I know it's like once in a blue moon where we can get together and talk movies, but it's always a pleasure. You can find me over on the Holden and Jen Hardman channel. We do a lot of movie reactions. There's a couple of short films over there. Speaking of Star Wars, which we'll be talking on this one, I have a short film called Vader Pull to the Light that I worked really hard on. I'd love for you guys to check that out. But I'm super excited to talk about Marvel, DC, Star Wars, and our expectations and our discussion about how we're feeling about where those franchises are going. So I'm really looking forward to this discussion. And don't forget to check out the discussion. We're going to kind of go a different route on my channel to talk about the superhero movies we've sort of already seen and how that plays into a factor of what we're looking forward to come. So I'm really looking forward to this talk.
We've got two-part conversation. This channel, most anticipated franchise, and then over on his channel, we have one where we're looking at this year's comic book movies and what that means for the future. Be sure to check that out. Also, join us down below in the comments section and let us know which of these franchises, Marvel, DC, or Star Wars, which one are you most excited for the future with what they've announced and what things are looking like right now. With that said, we're going to start our conversation with Marvel, that they dominated the last decade. Just like in a way, like nobody has dominated at the box office the way Marvel did last decade. But generally speaking, people feel like phases 4 and 5, definitely rockier than phases 1 through 3. How are you feeling about the future of Marvel?
I am optimistic. I'm probably more optimistic than I have been probably in the last couple of years because I really enjoyed Thunderbolts and I really enjoyed Fantastic Four. But prior to that, I was kind of in the same boat as everyone else where I felt like the quality was kind of declining. It didn't seem like they knew or they had like an in-mind trajectory. And the one that we got with Kang and Jonathan Majors like fell off. And so now it's already been revealed to us that Robert Downey Jr. is going to be taking over as Dr. Doom in this sort of multiversal thing that we're going to be seeing. On one hand, it's nice to see RDJ come back, but on the other hand, it's like, is this sort of a Hail Mary attempt to get original fans back onto the scene? And with Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four specifically, both of those movies, I would say, were really good and sort of I don't want to say a return to formula because they were different, particularly Thunderbolts and like the themes of depression and kind of dealing with that. But they just underperformed. And so is that a sign that the general audiences are pretty much over it? Like the goodwill of Marvel is gone. And but I am hopeful because both of those movies were good. I just hope that Marvel doesn't take a note and say, okay, maybe we need to do something different. I hope that they'll look at at least the reviews, both critical and audience, and say, we're just having to build this momentum up again, just like we did with Iron Man and Thor and Captain America to go to Avengers, and just to keep the progress of where they're going. So I am looking forward to it, but I think I'm just cautiously optimistic, as a lot of fans I think are right now.
Yeah, that's a lot of the way that I feel about it. That I guess a year and a half, 2 years ago, they basically went, man, things have been rough recently. And they kind of did a big pause last year where they only had one movie come out. They pushed several shows back and they tried to course correct. And, some of that was doing reshoots for Captain America 4. I think that was just always a troubled production that was never going to be as good as they hoped it would be. But then Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four felt like this feels like we turned the corner. This feels like what the MCU used to be like. That it has the MCU-isms, but they have their own flavor. And in particular with Thunderbolts, it felt like it was a movie that was actually about something, like a real movie.
Yeah.
Tackling themes and stuff and bringing in outside influences. And then even Fantastic Four on a story level, maybe more straightforward, but that it had just the production design and the world building was really cool. And so it felt like I was excited about the MCU in a way that I haven't been in a long time.
Yeah.
They've had successful movies over the last several years, and I really enjoyed Deadpool and Wolverine. But even that it's like a very superficial version of entertainment because it's like, hey, look who's back.
Right.
And so in that regard, I'm excited. Like, I feel like they learned a lot of lessons from phase 4 and they realized they made mistakes and they made changes. That's good. But the big thing coming out is these Avengers movies. And like, to me, I see it and I see the Hail Mary that you said. Like, I see, this doesn't feel like what Infinity War felt like, which was a franchise firing on all cylinders with characters I'm invested in, plot lines I understand, and the crescendo of everything we've been working towards. It's none of that. It's, hey, remember who directed the last Avengers movie? Hey, remember the star of the last the first 3 phases? Hey, remember the X-Men? Hey, remember? And it's just a whole bunch of that.
Yeah.
And so to me, people keep, like, even this report came out this last week. The guy playing Nightcrawler said, I shot all my scenes in isolation and I didn't know who I was talking to. And people are like, well, that's how they shot Infinity War. Well, it's not exactly the same thing. Infinity War was not a guy that hasn't played Nightcrawler in 20 years coming back to act in front of a green screen. It was Doctor Strange, who had just started a movie acting against the stars of the MCU. Like, they're not one-to-one.
Right.
And also that was the MCU when it was in its prime and everything was working versus like right now where it's like things aren't working. We know this is a course correction. And when course correction is, let's get the hero of the last phases or last saga to be the villain. That is some soap opera crap right there. Like that is like, ha, look who it is. It's evil Tony Stark. And so it's just a final thought. Like, as much as like, I hope it's great. The Russos have a great track record, but this is not, they do not have the prep work and the setup that they had going into Infinity War or Civil War or Endgame.
Yeah, I think that there's almost an irony in what you're saying, because I agree that there's this sort of Hail Mary attempt. It almost reminds me of when the first Avengers came out and then Warner Brothers was trying to catch up and they prematurely did Justice League without properly establishing their Batman at the very least, certainly their Wonder Woman in that universe, just to try to compete. And in a way, I feel like this phase of Marvel going into the next Avengers movies is in a lot of ways like that. Where they're trying to kind of play catch up. They basically had to drop a lot of their establishing stuff with Kang. I heard that they were maybe going to bring him back. I don't know how true that is, but I'm just assuming that they're not. So they're playing catch up. They want to bring back the old, as you said, look who directed this. And you remember RDJ. And now, on one hand, I do have a lot of faith in those directors. I think that they did Winter Soldier, which was great, and they did the Avengers movie. They were all good. So I'm hoping that, hey, remember those directors is also going to be, hey, they're qualified to fix this. It's, I hope, kind of the regard. But I want them to succeed. That's the other thing. Like, I really want it to be good. And I don't know if they're going to stick the landing. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but boy, am I rooting for them.
Yeah. And as one final thought, like, I had people on the internet being like, how can you not excited for the Avengers, X-Men, and Fantastic Four to be together? It's like, well, I mean, I don't even know who the Avengers are. We don't know who the team is. Like, we know who the new Avengers are, but it's not the same thing as that classic OG lineup: Tony Stark, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow, Hawkeye. Like, it's not them teaming up with the classic X-Men.
Right.
So it's just not the same thing. Like, and I think that's the piece to it of like that setup that what makes the Avengers teaming up with the X-Men exciting is if these teams are established and I'm excited for them. And that's not the case at the moment. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's amazing. But it just feels desperate. Today's video is brought to you by HelloFresh. You may have heard of HelloFresh, America's #1 choice for home cooking. They send chef-crafted recipes and fresh ingredients to your home. But this summer, they made their biggest menu upgrade yet. HelloFresh has doubled the size of their menu. That means each week you can choose from 100 different options, including new seasonal dishes and recipes from around the world. Their menu is now healthier, which means you'll feel great eating their high protein and veggie filled recipes, which is awesome in my mind because I'm a high protein, low carb kind of guy. Here's where it gets awesome. They're tastier. You can get steak and seafood recipes delivered no extra cost. There's 3 times more seafood on the menu now at no extra cost. HelloFresh is the easiest way to cook dinner. They send you the ingredients in the right proportions. They tell you exactly what to do. And so a terrible cook like me is able to make delicious meals. The best way to cook just got better. Go to HelloFresh.com/SeanChandler10FM now to get 10 free meals plus free item for life. 1 per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's HelloFresh.com/SeanChandler10FM to get 10 free meals plus a free item for life. All right, let's move on to the other one that had a big release this year and a couple other releases. DCU. James Gunn's DCU. We got the first movie, Superman. This is a reboot with a little bit of his stuff tagging along with Peacemaker kind of squeezing in there a little bit.
Season 2 of Peacemaker.
Yes. Season 2 of Peacemaker cheating its way in. But generally, this is a reboot of the universe. For me, the simple fact that they went, stuff wasn't working. We're trusting this one guy to lead it creatively. Obviously, he's got Peter Safran as his producer, but as the creative lead, that one guy overseeing it, and we're trusting him. In and of itself, the freshness of that has me excited. Just like, that's cool. I want to see that. What do you think?
Yeah, I am really excited for where DC is right now because I see the potential. I've even made comments on my channel that if DC was going to make their move, now is the time, like while Marvel is like struggling a little bit. I really enjoyed the Superman movie. I had some people that didn't really like some of my reviews because it boiled down to some preferential things I would have liked to have seen. But overall, I really did enjoy the movie. The universe felt fairly lived in with some of the other characters already, which I appreciated. So I kind of, again, the way I feel about Marvel is I'm cautiously optimistic. I am so willing to let James Gunn just give it his. I don't see any point in like studio like holding him back, and it's not really happening with him right now anyway for the reasons you pointed out. But just like let James Gunn have his go, and he knows fans pretty well. He's been doing like his Marvel stuff. He himself is just like a fan of these comics. So I'm kind of happy to let him do his thing, and I like this Superman. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with this Superman, and I don't know if I would say I'm more excited for DC than I am for Marvel, just because I think I have such a love of what Marvel has done in comparison to what DC has done in the past 10, 15 years. But I think that if DC were to come out ahead, now is the time. And so that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, for me, it's the clean slate that I think makes me go, man, I think there's just a lot of potential here for DC, where the tricky thing with MCU, you're 35 movies in, you're over 50 projects when you throw the TV shows in there, that it's just, there's so many moving parts and established expectations of what you can do. And it's hard to steer a ship that's that big while you're trying to do multiverse and bring everything into it. And so, like, I look at it with just a lot more, like, okay, I almost feel like I want to get past the multiverse saga and see what their refresh is after that. But it's just, that feels far enough down the line that I can't even be excited till we get past these Avengers movies that I have red flags about. But with DCU, they're at the point of, we killed it. And so we're restarting it. And it just, there's a newness.
It's like a rebirth factor almost.
Yeah, a rebirth, and it's, this populated world that I want to explore with a new vibe, flavor, aesthetic, and just even figuring out, like, what does it look like of, like, what is Supergirl going to be like, and then what's Lanterns next year? They described it as True Detective with Green Lanterns. What's that? I don't know, but I want to check it out. So I'm very excited for DCU with just an optimism, not even cautiously optimistic, just optimistic at this point in time, because I don't have reason yet to have caution the way that I feel like I do about MCU. Final one on here is Star Wars. Star Wars defined my childhood, and even today, that new announcement about the movie from the director of Deadpool and Wolverine. They cast Amy Adams and Aaron Pierre in Starfighter that has Ryan Gosling in the lead. I am just so numb towards Star Wars these days because I just feel like I've been so disappointed. It's so disjointed. There have been nothing that's been like really exciting in years, and so many things that just feel like broken the fandom that I just don't care anymore. They make announcements about movies and I just don't care anymore. And that's gut-wrenching to me that I care so little about Star Wars. Not that I don't, like, I enjoyed Skeleton Crew last year. I just don't really care anymore the way that I did. What about you?
I hate to like say that I'm in the same boat because I love Star Wars so much. But I do agree with you that like, I think you phrased it best when you're like, I'm just kind of numb to it. Like I am open to like that spark being reignited again in me. But kind of like you, I just, when they've dropped the ball on like Kenobi, for example, something I was so looking forward to. They had nostalgia on their side. They had goodwill from fans on their side in regards to Ewan McGregor. And then for it to turn into kind of what it turned into, was I think the last real big sour note for me, because at that point, when you're introducing new characters to a universe that is already now in fairly bad will, you're asking me to invest in this that I don't think you're even handling it right. So I'm kind of there with you. I would never have thought like years ago that I would not. I wouldn't hurt me to miss Star Wars content, and I'm kind of there. You know, like you mentioned the movie, and I'm just like, oh, that okay. You know, and if you lose core fans like us, where like they were always sort of banking on people like us being there, you're almost guaranteed to have general audiences not care even more. You know, so if you lose us as like the shoo-ins, what does that say about the general audiences that I don't care so much about the lore or all this stuff. So anyway, that's kind of, I think of all of them, Star Wars is the one I'm least excited for.
Yeah. And it's almost in my mind, somewhat ties back to what we said about the other ones. DC said, this isn't working, kill it. Let's bring someone new to rebirth this deal.
Yeah.
Marvel acknowledged publicly, we made mistakes. We're going to breathe a little bit. We're going to continue and restart. Star Wars still has Kathleen Kennedy in charge. No acknowledgement that this stuff has been failing. And just kind of like just going along, just this very broken version of it. I mean, this will be studied for decades, the way that they killed they paid billions for it and killed it.
Yeah. One thing I will say, the only defense I'll say is that Marvel and DC have, I don't know if you want to call it the luxury or the option of doing something like a reboot that we have not seen in Star Wars before. Like, are you going to reboot episodes 7, 8, and 9? I mean, fans have suggested that, but one strength of Star Wars is that it is one cohesive story, or at least attempted continuity. So, I don't know if they view it as like, we don't really have an option. What's there is there, and we just got to deal with it or try and make it better in the future. But I would say that that's probably a unique box that Star Wars finds themselves in that Marvel and DC may not.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing that makes it cool, and the thing that is such a restriction.
Same.
And I just trying to understand like the paralysis of analysis. How does Kathleen Kennedy still have her job? How did it take so long to not make a movie? I'm just so confused by it, and there have just been so many devastatingly bad choices that just have killed all my excitement for Star Wars, which I want my kids to be excited about it. And if I'm not excited, they're not going to be excited.
Right.
All right. Real quick. Now you got to rank the 3 least excited to most excited. What do you got for me?
Least excited, I'll say Star Wars. And then I'll say DC, and then I'm most excited for Marvel. And there might be a nostalgia factor. I love those characters. I am just more invested, but I'm really optimistic about where DC is going to go. But I am looking forward to those Avengers movies, and I want them to be good.
I put up a poll. 5% said they're most excited for Star Wars.
Wow.
24% they're most excited for MCU. 71% said they're most excited for DCU. For me, it's going to be Star Wars easily in last, then Marvel, cautiously optimistic, and then DC's the one I'm most excited for. Where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me on my channel, Holden and Jen Hardman, and we do a lot of movie reviews, a lot of movie reactions, so that's probably the best place.
Thank you so much for joining me. Remember to check out that video over on the other channel where we talk about this year's comic book movies, what it means for the future. That's the other part of this conversation. And keep talking movies and TV too much. Bye-bye.